What is up, YouTube? Welcome to PanFro Games, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the brand new 7-star Typhlosion raid coming to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. We're going to be breaking down this Pokemon, telling you what Pokemon you should build from special attackers, physical attackers, and supporters, and hopefully these Pokemon are going to make everything super easy for you so we can all farm this raid and get all the benefits from it. And of course, guys, if you're new to the channel, enjoy my type of content, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. I really appreciate it, and consider joining the Pan Fam today by hitting the join membership button below. Now let's dive in. So Typhlosion here is going to have its hidden ability. As always, they always have their hidden ability, which is Flash Fire. Typhlosion is going to be immune to fire moves. So I know I'm probably going to see people suggest Searlet with Bitter Blade. Well, you're not going to get anything off of it. You're actually just going to increase the damage that its fire moves are going to be doing, which is absolutely terrifying. So that's probably not something that we should be doing here. We also know that the Typhlosion is going to be a Tera Ghost type, and it's pretty scary that it's going to be Ghost, just because it does mean it's going to be getting a Stab Shadow Ball, which is a move that it does learn. Now, breaking down Typhlosion's stats over here, the reality is Typhlosion is a very frail Pokemon, and honestly, a pretty bad Pokemon overall. 78 HP is beyond pitiful, and we really are going to take advantage of how low this HP stat is and try to get some turn 2 or turn 3 kills in online games. It also has a really terrible defense stat at 78 and a little bit better, but still pretty bad def stat at 85. So overall, Typhlosion doesn't like to get hit by anything. So we can set up in front of it, debuff this Pokemon. There's a high chance we can probably set up a turn 2, turn 3 kill, and probably like a turn 1 kill too with a particular strat. Now, looking at its other stats, 84 attack is really bad, and I really don't think Typhlosion is going to have any physical moves. The last couple of raids were like mixed Pokemon, which had like about physical and special attacking stats within about 10 stats of each other, which is why they were mixed. But Typhlosion here is such a special attacker. Looking at that 109 compared to 84, I'm going to guess that Typhlosion is going to be a fully special attacking Pokemon. It's going to go for its bread and butter, so it's actually a little bit easier for us to build in this case. Now, its speed stat's 100, which usually doesn't matter, but it just means it's probably going to go ahead of pretty much every support Pokemon in this video. So speed at 100 is actually a pretty decent stat point to hit, but luckily it doesn't really matter too much at the end of the day. We really just got to have to care about this 109 special attacking stat. Now, looking at its moves, we're going to be saying it's a special attacker because it has not a great special move pool. However, it does have a pretty varied selection, and it's not like there's too many to figure out, but from this list is pretty much covering every type that it can hit, right? So we know it's going to have a fire move, and Flamethrower seems to be the most standard basic fire move. It should probably have something like that. It could also have something like Lava Plume as well, which is less damage, but has a higher chance of burning, so that's another threat there. And then going down to Eruption here towards the bottom, Eruption is Typhlosion's signature move. It was originally a signature move, and then a bunch of other Pokemon got it. Now, Eruption is really terrifying because based on Typhlosion's HP stat, it's going to be doing damage. And we know that Tera raid Pokemon have 30 times their max HP, and Eruption from that could absolutely be terrifying and devastating. So I would think you want to bring Pokemon that can resist. I wouldn't even say being neutral unless they have a phenomenal Spadef and HP stat, or they're going to probably die from Eruption. And part of me is thinking this raid can really start turn 1 Sunny Day and then Eruption, honestly. And that would be a tactical nuke across the raid party. So that is my biggest fear, but I sort of feel like Eruption is a lock just because it really fits Typhlosion as a Pokemon in general. So now that we talked about the 2 fire moves, what are some of the other moves it could have? Well, it's a Ghost Tera, so it's probably going to have Shadow Ball. It's the only Ghost type special move it learns. It does get Shadow Claws, a physical Ghost move, but 1, Shadow Ball does more damage based on just its base damage, but 2, also special attack versus attack here. Our special attacking stats way better with Typhlosion than attack, so I think it's going to have Shadow Ball for sure. So I think that's 3 moves we can probably lock down right there, in my opinion. Then Focus Blast is another lockdown because, well, Ghost is weak to Dark and Ghost. Focus Blast is a fighting move. Yes, Focus Blast is aka Focus Miss. It always misses when you want to hit it. The raid Pokemon seem to have a little bit better luck than most players, though. So Focus Blast is going to be an absolute threat of a move, and it's going to be the move that beats Dark-type Pokemon. That's a little bit scary, and it does cover its weakness. So I think Focus Blast is a absolute lock-in. So now we got 4 moves that are locked in here. Now, Extra Sensory is a move it does learn, I believe, by Egg, and it could be there, honestly. It doesn't really cover anything that it needs to cover, and it would actually be sort of a blessing if it does have it, because maybe it will hit into our Dark-type Pokemon with a Psychic move. I mean, it could have it. There really isn't any other moves to put on it besides, well, Solar Beam down here. And let's be real, Solar Beam is not a good move if there's no sun. And if it does use Solar Beam, well, we can just troll it by changing the weather to sand, to snow, or to hail, sand to snow or to rain, and then we'll totally own it. So that's not even the biggest deal either. But looking at the moves here, I mean, Flamethrower, Eruption, Shadow Ball, and Focus Blast, absolute lock-ins, and then potentially could have Extra Sensory and Solar Beam as well. Now, Typhlosion has a way better physical move pool. However, just because it has a good physical move pool doesn't mean it's going to actually use any of it. Probably the scariest thing here is, like, it could have something like Earthquake, probably like Rollout, Thunder Punch. It really has a lot of weird moves, honestly, but let's just be real. With 84 attack, and it's probably not going to have a plus attack nature, I'm assuming it's going to be a modest Typhlosion. I'm not really afraid of any of the physical moves here, and we can probably take it, especially with our support Pokemon being very flexible, we can probably take any of it. Now, setup, we're looking at Smokescreen, Sunny Day, and Will-O-Wisp. Now, I think Will-O-Wisp probably won't happen. If it does, I mean, that's not a big concern if you're using a special attacker, so who cares about that? Sunny Day, I do think, is going to be a lock-in. I really do think Sunny Day Eruption on turn 1 could absolutely be a terrifying thing we're going to have to deal with. And then Smokescreen is sort of like, honestly, in my head, I always see like Cyndaquil and Quilava as like a signature move of theirs outside of Flame Wheel was to use Smokescreen. So I could really see Typhlosion do something like the Greninja did, because it is a very frail Pokemon. So the way it deals with its frailness is just not getting hit. So that could be a big problem with us, with having Smokescreen. And then we're probably going to need some Pokemon that can like use Sweet Sense or Haze or Clear Smog to actually deal with the Smokescreen. So hopefully we can figure that out. But if it has Smokescreen, that's going to be a little bit terrifying. And even to have the best strats, as long as we have the chance of missing, then it's going to be annoying, just like how Greninja was. Now let's dive into our builds. All right, so let's begin with our first special attacker. We only have 2 special attackers to talk about, but both of them are going to be phenomenal and may actually be the attackers that you may choose. And personally, I think those are the ones I'm going to be going with as well. So let's go off with Chi-Yu here. Chi-Yu is the brand new Dark Fire legendary Pokemon, and this thing is an absolute monster of a Pokemon. I'm gonna be real, this probably can actually solo this raid boss by itself. And if you are gonna be doing the solo build, it's gonna be pretty much the exact same build as that I'm gonna show off here, but you're gonna change your item to Shell Bell. Now, if you're gonna be doing an online raid with friends, then you're going to want to use the Life Orb, because I have a 2-turn method, which I will discuss in a future video. Now, why is Chi-Yu so good? Well, one, Chi-Yu has an insane special attacking stat, and of course, once again, we're going to go modest nature, max special attack, max HP, and it has the ability Beads of Ruin. Now, Beads of Ruin lowers the SPDF of everyone besides Chi-Yu by 25%. So yes, in a raid, it will affect the Typhlosion. It will also affect your teammates. I will say, do not bring this guy if you are going to be doing this with randoms, because that's not going to be great. I'll be real, it's not going to be good. But if we are going to be doing special strats or a solo build, then this Pokemon is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Why is this Pokemon going to be phenomenal? Well, besides its insane base attack, for base special attack, and Beads of Ruin, and probably Life Orb or Shell Bell, it also gets a great move pool. Nasty Plot's going to give us a +2 special attack. That's going to make it so we can deal stab super effective Dark Pulses out, which is going to be great. We may even get lucky and actually flinch, which will be pretty phenomenal too. We also get the move Snarl, which doesn't do a lot of damage. However, it does lower the Typhlosion special attack stat by 1. So we can start snarling on this Typhlosion and make it so it doesn't do that much damage at all. And then after we're done snarling it up, we can start Nasty Plotting away and get those Dark Pulses off, and then Tera Dark, and GG, well played, is over. And then you can put Life Screen on here, so, you know, turn 1 Light Screen, and then you hit those snarls, so you can pretty much set up yourself to not take as much damage. And then once you get those nasty plots going, like 2 or 3 of them, then like I said, hit Dark Pulses, Tera Dark, and you're gonna be good to go. So this is gonna be a relatively easy Pokemon to run, and like I said, it's gonna be phenomenal for the solo build, and it's gonna be phenomenal for teams that know exactly how to do the turn 2 strat, which I'll talk about in a future video. Now, for a Pokemon that you can probably bring to the online raids, and it might be able to solo, would be Hydreigon. Hydreigon is a phenomenal Pokemon because, one, it's Dark and Dragon type, meaning you're going to be able to resist those fire moves as well with that Dragon typing and a bunch of other stuff too. So, pretty good typing here in general. And we're going to be using the item Shell Bell because we need some HP sustain because we want to be as flexible as possible. It's very important to have Shell Bell for pretty much nearly all these attackers. Now, just like usual, we're going to be max HP, max special attack, and then modest nature. The ability Levitate is the only ability it has. It could be good if somehow Typhlosion has like Earthquake or something, but it doesn't really matter. I don't think it personally will. Very similar to Chi-Yu. Nasty Plot, Dark Pulse, Snarl. That's it. That's all we're going to be doing. Once, like, we're going to Snarl to lower that special attack stat, build our special attack stat up with a couple of nasty plots, and hit some Dark Pulses, Tera Dark, GG, well played. Now, we have Focus Energy. We don't have Light Screen, but Focus Energy is a very good move. It increases our critical hit rate. So we start critting, we may be able to kill this Pokemon much earlier than expected. Now, I'll say this, Chi-Yu will definitely kill the raid boss a lot faster than Hydreigon. It just does have more stats and the ability is better in general. But, you know, Hydreigon doesn't hurt your teammates with his ability, so this is going to be the safer special attacker if you don't follow particular builds. Now, let's talk about our physical attackers. And our first one is going to be Cereal Edge. And Cereal Edge here, we're going to be running with a Shell Bell and a Ghost Tera. Now, you may be wondering, why a Shell Bell and why not a Life Orb? Why not do more damage? Well, the thing is, Cereal Edge does not actually have any sort of sustain because Typhlosion is going to have Flash Fire. Bitter Blade will not work in this raid. Please do not use Bitter Blade on Typhlosion, as you're going to be doing 0 damage and increase the fire damage of the Typhlosion and knock out your teammates. So do not be that person, please. Now, the reason why Cereal Edge is going to be pretty decent for this raid is because we're going to be having the ability Flash Fire, which also makes us immune to fire and actually powers up our fire moves, but we're not going to be using fire moves, but we are immune to fire, which is pretty big personally. And we are going to go in Adamant Nature and max HP. Now, Cereal Edge here can take about 2 Shadow Balls. So we can set up, and if we have some good supporting teammates who are using Snarl, then we can actually survive more. So if we get some Snarl and Light Screen support going on, Cereal Edge is actually going to be phenomenal. But just keep that in mind that this Pokemon is going to need support. Now, the moveset I thought that was going to be great is going to be Sword Stance to give us that +2 attack so we can hit hard. Light Screen so we can actually take those special attacking hits, especially if we don't have a good supporter. Leer so we can actually drop that defense just in case maybe Typhlosion doesn't remove its debuffs until later in the raid, so these Leers can stay on for a while. And our main damage move is going to be Shadow Claw. It's going to be stab super effective, and with some Swords Dances and some defense drops, this is going to be doing tons of damage. There's also a high crit chance on Shadow Claw as well, so if we get a crit, it's going to do massive damage. I think Cereal Edge personally is going to be high risk, high reward, but once you get those Swords Dances up, well, like 1 or 2 of them, and I would say probably 1 Swords Dance, I would go for Shadow Claw just to get that Shell Bell HP regain back, so you can give yourself that to sustain. And whenever you find yourself at full HP, then you can either set up another Swords Dance, or maybe turn 1 Light Screen, turn 2 Swords Dance, turn 3 Shadow Claw, get that HP back, and then go for another Swords Dance, and then start cleaning up with Shadow Claws. So there is a way for this thing to win. I think it's going to be very good still, but you're going to have to be really on top of it, and hopefully don't get crit. But I've done the calcs. This Pokemon will die in 2 Shadow Balls, so keep that in mind. Now, our next physical attacker is going to be Annihilate. Now, Annihilate, unlike Cereal Edge, actually has a lot more bulk, and this bulk is going to be incredibly helpful for us to actually survive. So we're gonna go for Tera Ghost, but you don't even really need to Tera with Annihilate to get this strategy to work. And essentially Annihilate is gonna be a phenomenal Pokemon to solo with. Now Annihilate, we're gonna have Shell Bell as always to give us that HP sustain. And we're gonna have the ability to Defiant, doesn't really matter, who cares. But we're gonna max HP and max attack Adamant Nature. And the important thing is, we're gonna have the move Rage Fist here. Now Rage Fist is gonna be a phenomenal move. Whenever Annihilate gets hit, this move gets 50 more power. It caps at 300 power. When Annihilate faints, the stacks still stay. So pretty much during a raid, you're getting hit every turn. By what, like turn 5 of the raid, you're gonna be at max damage here, and you're gonna be popping off. And then these Rage Fists with Shell Bell are gonna give you back all that HP. You don't even really need to set yourself up with a bulk up, and Drain Punch is useless here. I just always have it here just in case. But pretty much what you're gonna do is you want to set up like 2 Screeches. Once those Screeches happen and you faint eventually, then you're just gonna come back and start spamming Rage Fist. And I actually recommend maxing Rage Fist out, and you should be able to solo this raid with Annihilate. Now, I don't think Annihilate is a good Pokemon to use if you're gonna be online raiding, because if you faint, it's gonna knock out that timer so much more, especially if your teammate's fainting too. It's gonna knock out the timer a lot as well. So it's probably not the best Pokemon for online, but definitely for soloing, this is gonna be one of the best. Definitely the best for physical, and I still think Chi-Yu is gonna be the best for special. Now, our next Pokemon is going to be a very bulky physical attacker who's going to be pretty solid for raiding, especially if you're going to be with other physical attackers. Now, Ting-Lu is a phenomenal Pokemon, is incredible in VGC right now, and is actually going to make his first debut in the raid scene here. And Ting-Lu, Dark Ground with a Dark Tera, and it's going to have Assault Vest. Now, Assault Vest gives you a massive buff to your special defense stat. However, you cannot use any moves that do no damage. All your moves have to do damage. But that's fine because Ting-Lu doesn't have a great moveset, but it doesn't really need to have a phenomenal moveset. Now, Ting-Lu, I went max HP, max Spadef so we can just survive, because this ends up being a little bit more of a supporter, but it does have a pretty massive physical attack stat still. So I did put it in the physical attackers because of that reason. And Ting-Lu, Vessel of Ruin here, it lowers the special attack stat of all Pokemon, including your teammates and Typhlosion, by 25%. So that's going to be great. And as long as Ting-Lu's on the field, that's going to stay on the field. Now for our attacking moves here, we're going to be going with Throat Chop. Throat Chop is pretty solid, 80 damage, pretty good. We don't have to worry about sound-based moves at all, but it's going to be our big damage move here. Mud Slap is going to lower the accuracy of the Typhlosion. So if we are afraid about Focus Blast or anything like that, we can drop that accuracy with Mud Splat and essentially sort of plays like a support role. We also have Snarl here to lower the special attack stat as well. So we once again do a little bit of a support role thing here too. And then Payback is actually going to be really good. If we get hit before we hit the Typhlosion on the turn, this is going to do 100 damage instead of the 80. So Ting-Lu is going to hit pretty hard with this Payback. It's going to be stab and super effective. And since it's all attacking moves, you're going to get your Tera really early too. So you're actually going to notice that you're going to be dishing out a pretty decent amount of damage. So you're like an attacker, but also a little bit of a supporter too. Now, I would not recommend bringing Ting-Lu in a random lobby if they're going to have all special attackers, because then you're hurting your teammates. But there's going to be some Ting-Lu strats out there for sure. Now, our next physical attacker is going to be Roaring Moon here. And Roaring Moon, Dark Dragon, Dark Tera, Shell Bell. Once again, you want to sustain yourself, get that HP gain back. Now, we're going to be going max HP, max attack here. And Photosynthesis is not going to really proc, but if someone, I mean, it could actually, if Typhlosion puts the sun up, we're going to be getting an attack boost, which is going to be really nice. Now, the issue here is we don't really have Swords Dance, but we do have Dragon Dance. We'll increase our attack and speed stats by +1. So we could do a couple Dragon Dances and setup, and then we can just go in with Throat Chop. Throat Chop, once again, going to be a pretty solid move here. I believe you actually get Crunch too, so you could probably just use Crunch here as well, as if you either or, up to you. We also get Snarl. We can drop the special attacking stat as well, give us some, a little bit more of a defensive buff, because, just dropping that special attack stat, we take less hits. And then the Leers, so we can lower the defense stat. It's not a great move, but there really isn't a good fourth move that Roaring Moon needs here. There's just really not pretty much a better dark move or a better setup move in that case. And our last physical attacking Pokemon is going to be Tranitar. Tranitar can be Dark and Rock type, so pretty solid typing. You are 4 times weak to Focus Blast, which is really terrifying. And we're going to be going with a Dark Tera and a Shell Bell. Now, what's crazy good about Tranitar is a very buff Pokemon because it has the ability Sandstream. Sandstream summons a Sandstorm on the turn it comes out, and if it feigns, it comes back, Sandstorm comes back again. Now, with the Sand, all Rock type Pokemon get a 50% boost to their Spadef stat, which is phenomenal. It's going to give Tranitar a lot more bulk than it normally has. And we're going to be going max HP, max attack, Adamant Nature. Tranitar hits really hard, has a really high physical attacking stat. It's actually very similar to Roaring Moon, except it's honestly somewhat better than Roaring Moon because you have Crunch, which is really good, and Crunch can lower the defense stat, has 10% chance. You also have Snarl, very similar to Roaring Moon, but you also have Screech. So Screech is straight up a better than Leer. I mean, Screech can miss, of course, but Screech is -2 and Leer is -1. So that's a win in my book for Tranitar. And you also have Dragon Dance as well, so you can make your attack and speed faster as well. So I think Roaring Moon and Tranitar sort of fit the same general set. I just think the big thing is you have Screech over Leer, but you are 4 times weak to Focus Blast. But, you know, you have the Sand, so maybe you could survive. You could run this with Assault Vest, but then you would have to remove Screech and Dragon Dance. So, you know, I think that is too big of a loss for Tranitar personally. And next up is our supporters, and we have Umbreon, who is probably the best support for this raid. If you had to make one support, I'm actually going to suggest Umbreon. Umbreon is a Dark type mon, so we're going to resist that Ghost, and we're going to go with Dark Tera. And I recommend Light Clay because we're going to be able to set up a extended light screen, which is going to be phenomenal for this raid. And we're going to be going max HP, max Spadef, with a plus Spadef nature, minus attack. And Synchronize is a pretty solid ability. If we get burned, then we can burn the Typhlosion back, and that's pretty funny. It's not going to do a lot of damage, but, you know, it is something, right? And our moveset is going to be pretty simple. But the cool thing about this moveset is Screech and Fake Tears means we can help both physical attackers and special attackers. Of course, Fake Tears is phenomenal because it doesn't miss. Of course, it doesn't go through shield, same with Screech, but 100 accuracy, so that's great. Now, Screech here, 85 accuracy, and if we do get hit by a smoke screen, this is going to be pretty brutal, so it's going to be a little bit harder for Umbreon with the Screech tactics. At least Fake Tear starts out with 100 accuracy. Now, our damaging moves can be Snarl, lowers that special attacking stat, and one, it's going to just be stab super effective, which is very nice. We're not going to do a lot of damage, but it's a little bit of chip damage, and we're going to be helping the team. And then we can Tera and even do more damage with Snarl. And then Light Screen to give everyone a Spadef boost, essentially a free +2 to everyone, which is going to be really helpful in general. Now, if you figure out, oh, I want to help physical attackers, oh, I want to help special attackers, you're going to remove either Screech or Fake Tears. And the move you're going to remember is going to be an absolutely phenomenal move. And there's a couple other good moves, like Thunder Wave is here. It does get Reflect as well. But Helping Hand is going to be the move. This is going to be a massive power boost for your allies. So I recommend once you figure out what your team strat, put on Helping Hand for either Fake Tears or Screech, and then you're going to be doing great. Now, if you are running Screech, then you probably want to switch your item from Light Clay to Wide Lens so you can actually hit those Screeches a little bit better. Next up is Toxapex, which is a great defensive typing, resisting fire, and it resists Focus Blast too, so that's going to be pretty good. And I recommend like an item like Leftovers here just to give you that HP sustain in general. So we're going max HP, max Spadef with a plus Spadef nature, minus attack. Doesn't really matter what your ability is in this case. And the reason why I like Toxapex in general here is one, you have the best raid move, Acid Spray. It's just Fake Tears that goes through the shields, but you also do damage with it too. So it does actually build up your Tera charge, which doesn't really personally matter, but the fact that you're doing a little bit of chip damage is always going to be helpful on trying to get those one-hit KOs. Now, we also have Toxic here, so you can, like, when you're done lowering that Spadef, you can use Toxic and try to lower that HP stat very slowly. And then you can hit a super effective Hex here, which is going to be really good, and Hex is going to be doing double damage because the Pokemon is going to be poisoned. And then you can use Recover to own your own HP. Honestly, the reason why I like this Pokemon is, look at those numbers, 421 Spadef, 304 HP, and 340 defense, and 0 defense investment too. This Pokemon won't die. It is a little bit less utility than Umbreon. Like I said, you can only do special defense. You have no helping hand, no screen support, no Snarl. So I would say it's not as good. However, Acid Spray definitely makes it worth mentioning in general. Now, our next Pokemon is going to be the ultimate special defense wall, Blissey. Blissey don't die. And Blissey, it doesn't really matter what your Tera is going to be. I just have Tera Water. It doesn't really matter because I don't even have attacking moves on my Blissey here. And we have leftovers for that extra HP sustain. Now, we're going to go max HP, max Spadef. Look at that HP stat is breaking the barriers here at 714 and 405 Spadef, with a plus Spadef nature and minus attack, you're great. Now, if it does have any physical attacks, it's going to hurt. So keep that in mind, but Blissey is always a beast against pure special attackers. And Blissey has a phenomenal moveset for supporting in general. Helping Hand to help your allies do massive damage, which is going to be phenomenal. Light Screen to help everyone essentially get a free +2 Spadef. Heal Pulse so you can actually target people in your raid group and heal them instead of having to use up all your cheers, because you know cheers are good for multi-heroes, but if someone's just low and everyone else is good, you sort of don't want to waste a cheer. Plus the Heal Pulse does consistent healing damage, which is gonna be really good. And then you also have Tail Whip. You can lower the defensive stat by 1. If you are with a bunch of physical attackers, then Tail Whip's gonna be a phenomenal move. Of course, you can actually change this Tail Whip for something else depending on what you want. Maybe you want a damaging move, but you unfortunately don't have a dark move or a ghost type move to do any sort of super effective damage, really. So it's up to you on this last slot, but I really like this moveset for Blissey as the ultimate healing cleric. And our last supporter is going to be Dachshund, and Dachshund is going to be a great passive supporter for us, and we're going to keep it as a fairy type Pokemon, and we're going to have leftovers on it. Now, this Pokemon has a pretty decent HP, not too great Spadef stat. However, we do have a phenomenal ability, and of course, we're going max HP, max Spadef with plus Spadef nature, and we're going to have Well-Baked Body as an ability. Pretty much when we get hit by a fire move, we take 0 damage, but we're going to get +2 to our defensive stat, which is going to be great. And now our move set is going to be Helping Hand, which is going to boost our allies' attack. So very similar to Umbreon. And just like Umbreon, we're going to have Snarl. We're going to lower that Typhlosion special attack stat by 1. So we're going to be doing a lot of defensive stuff with Snarl here. Crunch is for our big damage on it. It's not going to be too big, but we do have a better attack stat than special attack stat. So Crunch, it could also lower defense, potentially 10% chance. And then Mud Slap is going to lower the accuracy on the Typhlosion. So, you know, helps the team out, avoid other moves like Focus Blast especially. I think at least one Mud Slap will pretty much make Focus Blast just not hit straight up. It'll put it below 70, and that's going to be absolutely ridiculous. So there we have it. That is all of the Pokemon that we're going to build for this Typhlosion. There's gonna be a lot of different strategies, and I do think I have a turn 2 and a turn 3 strategy built, and I'm sure I can find a turn 1 strategy as well, and we'll try to feature that in a video upcoming on the channel. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. I really appreciate it. Let me know in the comment section below which one of these Pokemon you're gonna build, or if you have any other ideas as well. Anyways, guys, peace out and have a good one.